Hi, everybody. This is Bill Soroka, founder of NotaryCoach.com and the Sign and Thrive Notary Training Course and Community. I'm excited to introduce you to a fellow notary out of the San Francisco Bay Area, Mr. Matt Miller. Hey, Matt, how's it going?
Good. How's it going today, Bill?
It's going great. Thank you so much for being willing to join us today. I know we've interviewed you before regarding the remote online notarization bill in California, and that was a topic all of its own, but it was awesome meeting you. And then today we are going to be discussing automation and technology as it helps you schedule and be really efficient in your day. When I first heard you mention this on a Tuesday Notary Titans chat conversation, I think, I was intrigued by it and I was so grateful that you followed up. So we'll get into that in just a minute. But first, I want to make sure, I just want to hear more about you and why you're so passionate about this business.
Here. I've been a notary for several years here in the Bay Area. And before that, I was a notary when I lived in New York for my employer, but I was young and didn't really do much with it then. And then about 3 years ago, I also have a pet care company that I've also since sold to my assistant, but I was working with a client who was a work-at-home lawyer. And he said to me one day, he said, "Gosh, I wish that you were also a notary, because that way I wouldn't have to go to UPS to get my documents notarized." And so then I looked at it and looked at how to become a notary in California. And along the way, realized that, wow, you can make a decent living in California with just general notary work, not counting loan signing, which I also do. But the reasons I love this work is because I get to work from home. I'm in and out all day long. My dog loves that. My partner loves that. I can work as long or as little as I want. I'm out and about. I don't like to be behind a desk. I'm meeting all kinds of people all the time, from tech titans to the regular guy who lives next door. So it's a real pleasure for me to get out in the community and meet people. A lot of you also know that I am a notary advocate, and I have been working with legislatures and different advocacy groups on how we can develop some responsible technology when it comes to remote online notarization and other technology, because it's not that I don't want technology. I make sure that it works and protects everyone. So I am using a new tool, new to...
Hold on, before we get into that, Matt, before we get into that, I want to talk about what you just shared, because this stood out for a couple different reasons. Number one, I love when I meet somebody who's in this business for the same reasons. I consider myself unemployable now because I love the freedom and the flexibility and the unlimited income. So what I just was remembering is the history of our communication. And I just also want to express gratitude because you were one of the very first people that ever interacted with me when I was delivering my first YouTube videos. And I remember that communication. You were one of the very first. So thank you for that. And thank you for staying connected. You're exactly who I would be hoping to connect with on this.
Oh, well, thanks for reminding me of that, because yeah, you were one of the first people I found on YouTube who was actually giving some feedback on this profession and sharing your story and sharing your successes and your failures, and really helped, because I'm sure a lot of new notaries out there feel this way. When you come into this business, you're very isolated, right? You don't go to an office with 20 other people and talk in your morning meetings about what you're doing and how you're doing it. You kind of are on your own unless you stumble upon one of these communities we now have, like, Sign and Thrive, or Laura's groups, or the Facebook groups. All of this stuff is relatively new to our particular community. And yeah, I was first starting out with things like, "Hey, Bill, do you hand out pens?" and those types of conversations.
Right, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it seems so long ago, but it really wasn't.
It really wasn't. That was maybe 3 years ago.
Yeah, yeah. But
Very cool.
your videos really helped me in the beginning kind of stick to it too, which is tough sometimes.
Yeah, well, it definitely is. And you brought up a great point. We're solopreneurs, but sometimes we are silopreneurs. We're out here trying to figure out, it's super vague. There's gray language everywhere, as you know. So these communities are really awesome. And I really appreciate, because I think you've stepped into a role too where you're unifying other notaries and inspiring collaboration. I think that's kind of the key. And I was just talking to Laura the other day. This is really exciting because it's a different industry than it's ever been right now. And some of that's driven by the technology and changes, but most of it's driven by people and community that have been springing up, people sharing their information and their knowledge and their experience with others. And it's been really powerful. So thank you for being a critical part of that as well.
Well, my pleasure. My goal is to make us as notaries aware to the public as, say, for example, real estate agents are. The Realtors Association has done a fantastic job of doing that. And I think that we as a community need to make aware in society what our role exactly is.
And that gives us so much opportunity. I think, you pull numbers out of the air because who knows how to prove a statistic like this, but just in conversations, 80% of the population of the United States doesn't even know that our job exists or that we will at least come to them and they don't have to be reliant on the banks. What's that?
100% of them, at least once in their life, will need to see a notary.
That's the exciting part. There's so much opportunity. It's a challenge because we have to educate as well. Is if they don't know our services exist, then they'll never use us. So we have to educate, but think of the opportunity there. I mean, if people are buying stuff, selling stuff, being born or dying, they need a notary public. And that's what's so exciting about this.
Yeah.
So you have found new technology, relatively new technology, to help you be more efficient in your appointments. So first, before we dive into that, tell us a little bit about your business. How much of it is general notary work? How much of it is loan signings?
Sure. So, I started out doing a lot of loans like everybody else, and I still do for certain companies. I'm at that point where I can pick and choose who I do work for. But most of my work now is general notary work. And here in the Bay Area, it's a mixture. It's people, just regular people with regular random documents that need signings, sometimes 1, 2 documents, sometimes more. And then there's a lot of business because I don't know how it is in other markets, but in this tech market, it's a very young, fresh market. And they're not thinking about the staff notary, so nobody has one. And which is good for me because then now every company can have a notary and not have to, have someone on full time at a staff. So the technology I've discovered has really changed my perspective as well as far as competing in the marketplace. I no longer consider myself competing with other mobile notaries because of the world we now live in is very much driven by convenience and ease of use for the user or otherwise our customers or signers. So I think that our challenge now as a community is to realize that we're not necessarily competing with each other anymore. We're competing with a new competitor that I call convenience. And I've got something I want to share with the community today that can help us fight back. It can help us Uberize the mobile notary business, if you will. And that tool I use is called Acuity Scheduling. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you guys through the user experience on my website first, and then I'll flip over into my account side and show you how the back end works and how you can manage appointments, how you can collect data to then reach out to your customers afterwards and ask for reviews or announce new services, products, and things like that. So here in the Bay Area, I primarily offer mobile notary work. I also will do apostille processing. I use a gal in Sacramento called Nan. She's very good. Everyone knows her.
Yeah.
And also I have started doing fingerprinting, both ink and live scan this past year.
Wow, all right.
That has really been a new venture for me. It's very exciting. I had no idea that there were so many professions and so many employers that now require this.
Yeah.
It's a great opportunity if you're interested in that.
It's huge. And Matt, I'm sorry, I'm just going to interject for one quick second. So if you missed the name of what Matt just talked about, the Acuity, don't worry, we will put links down below so you can find all the information that Matt talks about today. Also, Matt, I just want to mention that there seems to be a clicking sound coming from your side. So I apologize. Did you know what that was? Okay.
It's my pen.
Pen clicker.
I flip it, my fingers, I click it. I've always done that. It's just a nervous habit, but I promise I'll stop.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. It's all yours. Show us what we're talking about here.
Great. All right. So let's say you're a random person or a business or also a title company, and you need to book a notary for a multitude of services. So I use my scheduling tool everywhere. I put it on the front page of my website. I put it on my contact page of my website. I also put it on my service list. So for example, you're reading about services and prices.
Hey, Matt, sorry to interject, but you have not yet started sharing.
Oh,
no problem. I interrupted you right as you were going in for the share, so my bad.
Here we go. Boom.
There we go. Perfect.
Go back to my, how do I get back over there? There we go. Okay, let me go back to my home page. Here we go. Okay, so as I was saying, I use my scheduling tool everywhere. I use it on my front page of my website. I use it over here on my contact page of my website right there. And here it is over on my home screen or home page right down here. And then I also use it on my service list over here so that you can book directly from this page as well. And in addition, I put it on all of my profiles everywhere. I put it on my Google Google business page. I put it in my profiles on notary websites, everywhere.
Awesome. Beautiful website, by the way. And I love that that's the thing with the technology, right? Like, to make it work, you've got to use it and really make it obvious and like go all in on it.
Yep. I even put my voicemail on my business line that, look, if you don't want to leave a message, you can go on my website and book directly. And people do. As a matter of fact, I hear the same comment at least once a week, which is, if you didn't have this, we would never have booked anyway.
Wow.
Here's kind of how it works. You go to my website, and one of the many places that I showed you, you can book. You simply click to choose what kind of service you're looking for today. Obviously, I offer multiple services, but the one that gets used the most is mobile notary. So we'll book a mobile notary appointment. As soon as you click on the service that you're looking for, automatically the system's going to show you what I have available for the coming days. So for example, today, all I've got left is a 5 and a 5:30. Saturday, I've got some things open, and then we go into next week and there's lots more times available. So let's say, for example, we're going to book an appointment for next Tuesday at 1 p.m. All right. Then, of course, it's going to ask you some information. Basically, I have set this up to ask all of the questions that you normally ask on the phone anyway. That way, when the work order comes over to me in email and on my calendar, which I'll show you in a minute, I already know what I'm walking into. I know if I need to block off extra time. For example, let's say, Mr. Matt Miller is going to book an appointment for a trust signing, right? And we all know those are going to be multiple documents, but the system only knows to block off a half an hour of time for me. So that way, when it comes over to the other side, I'll be able to extend that out and block off more time for myself so that the next appointment coming in doesn't come too close to the current appointment. So let's go ahead and finish booking our appointment. We're going to book it at 1400 Pine Street. And what's great about Acuity is you see what it's doing here. It's automatically bringing in the address for the customer so they don't have to finish typing it all the way out. And the reason that's helpful for our side is because it will be consistent when you go to punch it into your map for directions.
Yeah.
There is no suite or floor at this particular location. I happen to know because it's where my post office box is, but we'll say they're on the 7th floor. I have 5 documents today I want notarized. I'm going to choose 5 documents, and it's just myself, or it could be myself and my partner signing. So you see, I ask how many documents do you have to be notarized, and how many people are signing. So now I know, okay, I'm going into a 5 document signing with 2 signers. That's probably going to take me every bit of a half an hour, or maybe a little under. Let's say, for example, they have nine documents with 2 signers. So the system's only going to book on my calendar a half an hour. But I think that might take me a little while longer, because obviously I'm going to go through the whole package with them and explain each document as I normally would. So I'm going to go ahead on my side and book an additional half an hour, and I'll show you just what I mean in just a second. Then I ask, is there any specific information that I should know? Like, for example, you can park in my driveway, or make sure to take off your shoes at the door, or we have a dog, or any number of things. People put all kinds of things in here. They ask if can you mail the documents sometimes. So they can put anything in here they want up to 250 characters. All right, so we've got all of our information in. We go ahead and click to complete our confirmation. It confirms the appointment with on the screen. And then right now, over here on my email, you will see that I have a new appointment right there coming over to me from Mr. Matt Miller. This is going to show you what the client gets. They get an email appointment confirmation. It looks just like this. And I tell them standard information. For example, please have your valid government ID, the payment methods that I accept, if they need to contact me or text me for anything else that might come up. They also have the option of changing and canceling their own appointment, which is very helpful. That way you don't have to worry about the 300 emails and the 15 phone calls changing the appointment every time. They can just do it on their own. And then they can also click to add to their calendar preference, whatever calendar they're using.
Fantastic. And this is all customizable, right? So if you had...
Yep. Yeah. I'll show you exactly how to do that in just a little bit. So then on my email, I also get what's called the work order. So I get to see where it is, how to contact my customer. I get to see how many documents and who's signing, and any special instructions like I pointed out earlier. And then on my calendar, which I have synced, I use iCloud. This software also works with Google and many others. You will see that it's also put the appointment in my calendar right here, and it also includes the work order as well. And then I think it's going to take me more than a half an hour for 9 documents and 2 signers. So what I'll do is I'll come over here and drop in an additional half an hour time block. And what the purpose of that is so that the next appointment that can possibly be booked won't be until 2:30. Whereas if I didn't put that block in there, the next appointment available would be 2 p.m. So you're putting yourself a little bit of buffer in there. That way you're not late to your next appointment. But most times, appointments coming in from the web, half an hour is fine. I don't really need any more time than that. And then,
just to clarify, that's for the general notary work appointment.
General notary work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that because it gives you a little bit of chance to logistically take control of your day. So people can, some of these are super quick. So you wouldn't want to block out a full hour for an appointment that's only going to take you 5 minutes. Right. So you don't lose revenue on additional signings. So this is a great little tool.
And then if we go back, you'll see that I have other options, right? So the system will block off a half an hour for a mobile notary appointment, and it will block off a half an hour for a mobile fingerprinting appointment, because that's generally 1 or 2 people and it goes really quickly. Or, you can also order multiple, let's go over here to Tuesday where we're doing all of our test stuff. You can also add many people. So if I have an order for a fingerprint come through that say 5 people, then I'll probably do the same thing. I'll add another half an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And then for my loan signing appointments, this option here, loan signing service, the system automatically knows to block off a full hour for that. So if you book an appointment for next Tuesday at 4 o'clock, it's going to automatically block off a full hour. And then you can choose what type you're signing. We're signing a refi. There's husband and wife signing. We have the packet. Okay. Let's see if it'll take that. Yeah, there we go. And then we'll come over here on Tuesday the 17th, and there is my full hour loan signing. And it also marks what type of signing it is. Loan signing, mobile notary, or if I had hooked a fingerprinting, it would say mobile fingerprinting as well. So as soon as that appointment comes in, or if when I first wake up in the morning, I can look at my day, I know exactly what I've got coming up. So that's that's pretty much the gist of how it works on the customer side. I'll show you how they can change their appointment. So this is my email, the work order email, and this is what the customer would get. So this is their email. Again, looks a lot the same, it's very similar, except it doesn't include the work order. So let's say, for example, that Mr. Matt Miller for Tuesdays 1 o'clock decides that he needs to change that appointment because something came up. So he just clicks on the link. He can either cancel it or reschedule it, or he can edit things about the appointment. For example, you know what? Actually, it's only going to be 4 documents now. And then they can update that, and I will get a message on my end as well. And it'll adjust the calendar work order as well. Let's go ahead and just cancel this one outright because let's say, for example, he's caught that nasty flu bug's going around, so he doesn't know when he's going to be well yet. You just click cancel. The system automatically cancels it. It sends me a cancellation email so that I know the appointment was canceled. And it also automatically removes it from my calendar. So that space is now back open for another customer to book. The only thing you have to remember is if you allotted yourself some extra time, you'll have to go in and delete that part yourself. All right. That's pretty much the customer experience. Easy peasy. They don't have to call you. They don't have to write you. They don't have to text you and wait to see what you have available, when you can be there. They can just do all of that on their own. And if they need to change it or cancel it, again, they can do all that on their own. Because what I found was, before I had this tool, is I was losing a lot of appointments and opportunities because I don't pick up the phone when I'm in an appointment. I know a lot of people do that, but it's just one of my peeves. I don't. I'll text, but I don't pick up. So I feel like I was losing a lot of business. And now that I have this tool, I think I'm picking those appointments up that I was missing.
Yeah, I love to hear that. Well, number one, I love to hear that you don't pick up the phone in appointments because that is a personal pet peeve of mine too. And I love, number one, the acuity is obviously it's instantaneous. Sometimes you make those changes on calendars and it takes 7 minutes, 10 minutes before you even get a notification. So that was impressive. I love how this works. I know for those who are listening though, they're probably wondering, well, I don't know if I want anybody to be able to book an appointment with me, or what if it's a document that I can't do or don't know how to do? How do you manage that part of it?
Sure. So if we go back to sharing,
we'll
start that share again. So let's say, for example, you don't want just anybody booking appointments on your website. And guess what? I'm the same way. I only want someone, as you see here, who has a San Francisco or a South San Francisco address booking online, because otherwise I can't control my logistics. I know within San Francisco or South San Francisco, it's about a 7 to 10 mile range. I can be to any one place to another in about a half an hour or less. But I couldn't make that happen if, say, I needed to go up to San Rafael or down to San Mateo or over to Oakland. So this is exclusive for San Francisco clients only. And then the next question was, what if someone books what if someone books with a document that I don't want to handle?
Yeah.
No problem. What I can do is go into my Acuity account, which is right here, and find that appointment that I booked next week. Let's see here, 21st. Here we go. Where is it? Oh, it's not showing up. Interesting. Well, or I can just click the link. I should have showed you that. That's a lot easier. Just go into your calendar, into the work order, click the change link.
Yeah.
It's going to bring you to this page, and there's a few things you can do. You can edit the appointment, or you can do what I call a cancel appointment. So this little button right here is your best friend. You click cancel, and you can send an email to the client. And this happens sometimes. I do get people that book way up north or way down south or way east, it's 2-3 hour drive, and I'm obviously not going to do that. So what I say is I'll click the cancel button and I'll say, I'm sorry, I do not service your area, or I do not perform POA notarizations, or whatever document it might be that this particular notary doesn't do. Put all that in there and click cancel. So what happens now is the system will cancel the appointment. It'll send them a friendly email saying, I'm sorry, your appointment's been canceled. The reason being is because he doesn't service this area, or because he doesn't do that particular document, or whatever the reason is. And you'll see that here. See, this is the email that came over to the client. I'm sorry, I did not service your area or particular document. And it also removes it from your calendar. So then that appointment can be rebooked by somebody else. So that's kind of how I handle those two things. And I get a bonus.
What's that?
And I get a bonus on how to control your calendar. So those are two ways to control who books and how to get rid of an appointment you don't want. And the third one is, let's say, for example, I don't want to work Sunday at all. So I'll just put a whole block for the whole day. And in my calendar here on my side, or you could do this on the Acuity side. I just do it in my regular calendar. And then when we come over to Acuity, go back into my calendar, it will show Sunday. Where's Sunday? Back here, Sunday. I can't see because these are, there we go, Sunday the 19th, all right? And go back over here to our scheduling screen. Where's my regular website? There we go. We click on Mobile Notary. As you see, Sunday, oh, it didn't update. Interesting.
Maybe that part takes a little bit of time because it's the syncing, but that's fantastic. So you're not committed to be available and working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You still get total control over your calendar and your booking.
Block off days, certain hours. I do that a lot if I have something else going on, like a dentist appointment or whatnot. I just block off certain hours, and then they will not be available to the public to book. That's interesting why that's taking so long to sync. Usually it's faster than that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how you control your calendar.
Fantastic. That's and I think one of the biggest, I've heard some of the feedback from others who try these, or they're just, they might be blocked against even trying a scheduling service like this. But the reality is you do get full and total control over your whole calendar. Now, but there's still probably some limitations, of course, with technology. Nothing's totally perfect. So if you don't mind, let's talk about that. Tell me two things. Number one, what's the best reason that someone should give this a shot and really go all in on using a service like this? Can you start with that?
The best reason to do this is to make yourself as convenient as what online notarization has become. Because basically, people can sit and do a notarization online now in a matter of minutes. But not everyone's comfortable with that. But yet, everyone's comfortable with convenience. So I wanted to be as convenient and compete head on with remote online notarization. And this has helped me do that. And it has helped me garner new clients, particularly business clients downtown with law offices and tech firms and banks. Bank branches don't often have notaries anymore, which I did not know until recently, but Bank of America doesn't have any anymore. As well as FedEx stores don't have any anymore. And I don't know if you have friends in the FedEx stores and the UPS stores like I do, but they will tell their customers, just go on the Sweat Guy's website, he'll come right to you. So it has really helped grow my general notary work, and it has also helped me break into the fingerprinting work. Because like I said, we're not really competing with each other anymore. We're competing with convenience.
Yeah, huge, great, and excellent. Because, you know, you've probably heard me talk about this a lot on Tuesday Notary Titans. You know, as the owner of a signing company, it can be so difficult to find notaries that will pick up the phone. And sometimes, sure, that's like people like you and I, we're in an appointment, we don't pick up the phones. But 90% of it is people who are distracted or maybe not all in on their business. So having this kind of tool to bridge that gap would make my life so much easier. So I love this, Matt. Now, I'm sorry, what were you going to say?
I think, you know, the small title companies, the local ones that I've worked with, they have given me feedback that, yeah, it's so nice to not have to pick up the phone and call you. I can just look and see what you have available. And if you're available, great. If not, then I can move on. So it helps on the consumer side as well as our side.
Yeah, exactly. Now, tell me too, though, on the other side of that coin, what's the biggest lesson you've learned with this?
The biggest lesson I've learned from this is time management. Scheduling is a whole new concept for me now. You know, because before you're taking appointments over the phone or email at best, and you can really control what time of day you're doing things versus not. So the one scary part about this, but you know, you get over it really quick when the dollars start rolling in, is I don't have the control of that anymore. I don't have the control of the quantity of appointments I'm taking in a day. And that's, like I said, it can be scary for folks at first, and it was for me. But now, looking back, it's a relief, right? I don't have to worry about constantly managing the calendar, constantly throwing things in there. Even though I book, you know, manual appointments from my side as well as the appointments that come in from Acuity. But it has really almost given me kind of like an assistant, right? Someone who is taking those calls or orders and booking them on my appointment calendar. So that way I can just, when I'm in the field, I can just keep going, just keep going, just keep going. So that's the one downside risk I can identify.
Yeah, and I think that's an important thing to have awareness of if somebody were going to jump into this for sure. And this is, I mean, this is a perfect next level way to optimize your day so you can be more efficient and be more productive, hit your goals a lot faster or sooner without spending too much time doing the things that don't make or don't earn revenue in your business. This is powerful, Matt. Thank you so much for sharing this with us. I know obviously you've shared your website with us, which is great. And then also for anybody that would like to take advantage of the Acuity scheduling, I know we have your referral link that we're going to put down below as well. So again, thank you so much for sharing so much of yourself and taking the time to really dive in here and share this with us. This is going to make us all better.
My pleasure. Anything I can do to help the community grow and compete, I'm happy to do.
You've always demonstrated that, and I really appreciate it, Matt. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks so much, Bill. Have a great day.
You too.